1976. He's a board member of the Center for Food Safety, a past president of the National Family Farm Coalition, and has been involved in farm activism for nearly 40 years. And our third panelist is Patty Lavera, who is the Assistant Director of Food and Water Watch, a national advocacy organization that works for healthy food and clean water for all. And before that, she was the Deputy Director of the Energy and Environment Program at Public Citizen and a researcher at the Center for Health, Environment, and Justice.
Thank you all. I was just so excited that this was happening, that Rastrata had provided this opportunity, because I get to see all these beautiful, wonderful people that I have now known since 2011. My name is Anuradha. I'm with the Oakland Institute. As it was mentioned, when we first put out the research that what AgriSoul, where the CEO was Rastrata, what he was planning to do in Tanzania, which would have displaced over 160,000 smallholder farmers, we had no idea what would come of it. We knew it was wrong. We knew it was a very evil, wrong thing to do. But a little think tank in Oakland, California, putting it out, we had no idea. And look what you made possible. Thank you. And not just that, you just didn't stop his bad plans. As I mentioned yesterday, these people were refugees who had come from Burundi 40 years or more than 40 years ago, had been farming the land, had been producing food that is consumed in that area in Tanzania. They were told they would have citizenship papers if they broke down their own homes and leave. Last November, they're still on that land and they got the citizenship papers. Thanks to you. It was interesting when today it was reported that Rastrata is really concerned about the world. How are we going to feed the world? Oh my God, he really cares. How are we going to feed the world? You know what that is? We call it poor washing. Like greenwashing? Poor washing. Nobody asked him, nobody gave him the mandate to worry about feeding the world, but he took on that responsibility. Now that idiot will not tell you what I will tell you. Even today, we have more than 2,500 kilocalories per person around the world. 2,500 kilocalories per person around the world, enough to make each one of us chubby. Okay? If it had to do with producing food, I come from the beautiful country India. We are net food exporter, and yet we are home to more than half of the world's hungry population. I now live in California, where Fresno and Tulare are the most food productive areas, but they have the highest rate of hunger among the farm workers. Do you know 75% of the world's poor? Who are they? People who are considered poor, who live below the poverty line.
Rural and farmers.
These are the family farmers around the world. Family farmers who produce 80% of the food that is consumed in the developing world. Our farmers are starving. In my own country, in a decade, more than 100,000 farmers have taken their own lives. Almost every day farmers take their own lives because they've been told to buy GMO seeds, and you buy their Roundup, then you buy other things, and then there is no market.
Hey, right.
Let's look at the United States. Do you know the 49% of the poorest counties are rural counties?
Right.
Now, if we had a different vision, which is one of linked prosperity, a vision which is based on shared prosperity, that the people who grow the food that we need to survive, if we could acknowledge and recognize them for the contribution they make, if we could recognize the multifunctionality of agriculture. Small farmers are not just producing food for the world. They're the stewards of biodiversity. They are the ones who keep our rural economies working. So agriculture is not just a commodity to be exported thanks to World Trade agreements. It is actually about food and communities and sustenance. Do we know that the small farmers are 1,000 times more productive? This is another of the lies that is not, that they keep saying that the large farms will feed the world. Small farms are 1,000 times more productive, and this is not just made a figure. Even the Food and Agriculture Organization would recognize. They say we need large farms, so we create jobs. Even the FAO acknowledges, if you look in Africa, 5 acres of arable land is enough to sustain a family. On average, that would be at least 5 family members. So when Rastetter likes, when they go and they take 100,000 hectares of land and they give menial jobs to plantation workers, maximum 1,000 people, 100,000 hectares could actually sustain 100,000 people. At least 20,000 families, do the maths. So only an idiot who's sitting with other idiots at that Ag Summit will tell us that they will feed the world, they'll create jobs, they'll protect the environment. All they have is lies and buzzwords. They have no facts and they have no truth. So, what is a vision? It's actually pretty simple. When it comes to land, who does it belong to? Those who work the land. Seeds, who do they belong to? Those who work with the seeds, the farmers. Water, who does it belong to? There is no maths, no formula needed. We know how to feed the world. We know how to shelter the world. We know how to clothe the world. Do you know what we have to figure out? Our vision has to be about figuring out how to remove those from power who prevent that from happening. That's what